Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Lewis Speaks 2023, and we need to have a conversation as to what constitutes appropriate venting versus inappropriate dumping. So, what is venting? Venting is when a person has an issue and they appropriately share with you what their issue is, and they don't spend a lot of time ruminating and perseverating on an issue. That's venting. Dumping is when a person is just spewing negativity with no direction. They oftentimes spend an inordinate amount of time dumping. They don't have a limit. The person listening has to actually set a limit with them because if left to their own devices, they will continue to dump without any concern for the listener. And so venting is also productive. There is a solution afterwards. Versus dumping, which is there's no solution. People just want to get something off their chest and relieve themselves. I realize that this generation does a lot of inappropriate dumping. A lot of times what they're doing is displacing their own negative emotions and trying to turn other people into trauma containers. They don't mind inconveniencing another person with their problems and their negativity, as long as they can get it out of them. That's inappropriate dumping. They don't have any consideration for the listener who has to sit here and listen. Me personally, I value sharing. I don't value dumping. I don't value venting. I value sharing because sharing dignifies everybody involved. It lets you know that yes, I'm here for you, but also I need you to be here for me too. It's mutual. It's a mutual share. A lot of people, as I mentioned before, they just want to dump. They just want to dump on someone. They feel so disempowered in their own lives that they don't mind just taking a big greasy dump on someone. And it's unfair. It is disgusting. And it's inconsiderate. It's inconsiderate. And while I understand people's need to vent sometime, to be listened to be held, oftentimes people don't really ask you if you have the emotional bandwidth to withstand their vitriol. They just assault you with their problems. And I'm realizing that, my issue with that also is that a lot of people, they typecast you in this role of foul weather friend. You become the friend that they go to when they want to dump. You become associated with bad times. Then when they have good times, they go over to someone else because you're only reserved for the bad times. Me personally, I've had to set a lot of boundaries around that. I will not let somebody turn me into a dumping ground. I will not let somebody turn me into a trauma container where I'm holding all their secrets and their traumas while they go off and feel relieved and happy and lighter, while I'm feeling heavier. I used to pride myself on being able to hold people and always understand. And I oftentimes got validation from other people. Oh, you are a great listener. You are someone that I can definitely talk to. They want to validate you because, for one, they want to clean their toilet to keep on taking a dump in it. That's what I feel. They want to praise their toilet just to keep on being able to take a dump. And that to me is not okay. That to me is not okay. And I've had to set limits with people. I've had to actually tell people, you can't do that to me. And they get angry, of course, because they're really just selfish and they don't really care about how you feel. So they get angry and defensive, of course. That's a natural response when you have to tell people about themselves. And so I expect that. I've lost friendships because a lot of people, they just see you as a dumping ground. They never really valued you as a person. And so when you have to set a hard limit with them, they get angry with you and they don't want to deal with you. And that's okay, because either way, if you don't want to deal with me after I told you that I'm feeling overwhelmed and that I don't want to be dumped on, guess what? That's a gift. The trash takes itself out. Let them go on, you know? And I had to realize that me not wanting to hear other people dump is no reflection on my skill set as a counselor, is no reflection on my skill set as a human being. It's no reflection on my goodness, or my worth. That's the thing. Not wanting to withstand their dumping is no reflection of my worth. Because oftentimes I base my worth on me always being there for other people. You're oftentimes set up as a child, you're set up to believe that you're only worthy if someone else tells you that you are, if someone else tells you that you're good, if someone else tells you that you're effective. We're always basing our worthiness on external approval. And I'm learning that that's not okay. I no longer want to be a part of that club. Always basing my self-worth or how good I am based on the praise and validation of other people. Because people will praise you as long as they can continue to use you. They will keep on giving you those hits of validation as long as they can continue to benefit from you. They will try to exploit your kindness, and you have to set a limit. You have to put a cap on their dumping or their venting, because they will continue to do it. So you have got to set that boundary, and I'm learning that every single day, and I'm trying to perfect that. It's a work in progress. It's definitely a work in progress, but I'm learning how to not care anymore about the external validation of other people, because a lot of people don't even like themselves. They don't really like or appreciate themselves, And so I'm no longer here for the dumping. Venting at times I can make space for if it's productive, if there is a solution, If there is no solution and all you want to do is vent, I'm not your man. Don't come here, because quite frankly, I'm going to have to shut it down. I realize that I have to be the one to actually set the limit. I've got to be the one to set the limit. Because people will come into your life and they will dump and they will dump and they will dump. As long as you let it happen, they're going to continue to do it. It's gotten to the point where I've just avoided certain phone calls because I know that these people only want to dump. They don't ever come with fun times. They don't ever come with, a gift. They don't ever come speaking my love language. They always come speaking my pain language, speaking in the language of my wounds, or even speaking in the language of their own wounds. And quite frankly, I'm tired of listening to that language. It's not productive. All it does is just perpetuate cycles of pain. As long as you continue to basically just go over and trace over the pain, you're going to stay stuck there. You're going to stay stuck. And it's about moving forward. What do you want to do about the situation? And like I said, there's a time and place. There's a time to vent. There's a time to share. But dumping, I'm not with dumping. I have to definitely take a step back from dumping, because that to me is just not consideration. Consideration is becoming my new love language. And when you don't consider the listener and how they feel and whether or not they have the wherewithal and the bandwidth to hold you, you don't care about whether or not they can tolerate your anxiety or your confusion. You don't care. And that's why it's selfish. A lot of times dumping is very selfish because it doesn't take into consideration the listener. And so since people can't consider and speak in the love language of consideration, that's when you have to terminate them. You have to terminate the call. Sometimes I just have to hang up on people because Yeah, is it rude? Sure. A hang up sometimes can feel like a slap in the face, but sometimes people need that cold, hard dose of reality. They need a slap in the face so that way they can understand that they're hurting people. A lot of people don't know how they're affecting people, and a lot of people don't care how they're affecting people. I can't fault you for what you don't know, but after I tell you and you continue, then that shows me you don't care. So if you don't care, guess what? I don't care. You don't care about being rude? Guess what? I don't care about being rude. Because once again, it's about self protection. I'm realizing that as I get older, it's about self protection. I'm also realizing that people will try to typecast you in certain roles for their comfort, but they don't care about your needs and what you need. They will typecast you in the role of comforter, support, but they don't care about what it takes to maintain that. You know? That's why I always ask the healer, who heals you? Who heals the healer? Who nurses the nurse? Who takes care of the caretaker? Because the caretaker, the nurse, the healer, they're so busy out there healing everybody else. But they have needs too, needs that they oftentimes put on the back burner. And I realize that when you put your needs on the back burner, you give other people the permission to do the same. You give them the license to do the same. And that's why you have to prioritize your needs. And my thing is this, oftentimes they say things like, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. That's what everyone is subscribing to. This is why they're becoming so vocal now. Everything's vocal. Vocal. But in my opinion, if you are too squeaky, then that's a symbol, that's a sign of disrepair. That means that you have to basically be put out of your misery, be put out to pasture, and you're broken. You know? So my thing is this. Yeah, sometimes we all get squeaky sometimes. And then we have the loving oil applied to us, the loving oil of listening applied to our squeaky wheels. But if your wheels continue to squeak after oil has been applied, then that's a sign of dysfunction. That's a sign that you're a broke down mess and you should be put out of commission. And oftentimes that's what happens, because when people call their friends and they keep on dumping, keep on, everything's a dump, dump, dump. Ultimately, that friendship is done. It's done. Because you turned yourself into this eternal squeaky wheel. No matter how much oil of listening and love applied, it still gets what? It's broken. It still squeaks. So then after a while, people just get tired. They get tired of hearing that squeaky wheel and they just diagnose it as broke down, and that's it. It's done. So if you are the eternal squeaky wheel who is always dumping to your friends, this video is for you. Stop dumping. Start sharing. Start looking for your own solutions. Start doing your own therapy. Do your own internal healing. You know, sit with yourself. Write. Journaling is so helpful because then you could dump all you want to on the page. It's very cathartic. Journaling can be extremely cathartic. Do it. But don't sit up there and bend somebody else's ear in to their ear as a shriveled mass of freaking just destruction. Do not bend their ear into the point where they have to actually set a hard limit, because at that time, people are going to start to avoid you. When you over talk and overshare and like I said in the beginning of this video, there's such a thing as appropriate venting, appropriate sharing versus inappropriate dumping, inappropriate sharing. You know, what does that look like in real time? In real time, if I'm having a hard day, appropriate sharing means asking the person, hey, do you have a moment right now? Are you in a space to listen to me? Asking them. I just want to take a couple of minutes to share with you something. I have a solution afterwards. That's ideal. Inappropriate sharing and dumping is just rambling on. Well, you know, I have this mouthful of rocks. Don't come at people like that. They don't deserve that. Ask if they have the space, the emotional wherewithal, the emotional bandwidth to listen. Consider them. Because a lot of people nowadays, especially nowadays, people are at the end of their rope. They just can't take it no more. Not one more thing. You ever heard the straw that broke the camel's back? Well, sometimes people they're going through something, they're managing, and it's just that one minor straw, that one precipitating event that just sent them over the edge. One minor thing. It could be like a lemon dropping at the market. But they just could not take one more thing. And I think it's also because people don't really ask you about you and how you're doing. They just don't, because they're hurting. People are in pain. And when people are in pain, the first thing that they do, they're selfish. They're selfish. They want to get it off of them. Get it off of me. Get the pain off of me. They want to stop hurting. But right now we're all going through it. And so we need some compassion, and we also need some kindness, some intentional kindness. And so my thing is I hope this video was very helpful, especially for those who are chronic dumpers, who inappropriately dump. Don't do that. Share. Ideally, share. Share. Share is up here, vent is somewhere in the middle. Dump is low vibrational. It's ground. It's just... No. Share. Vent. Appropriately. So I hope this video was helpful. Please leave your experiences. Share with me if you would like. If you have the space and the time, share with me what you go through. Have you ever had somebody to just dump? Have you yourself dumped like that? You know, and while you may feel relieved in the moment, what ends up happening is that you end up ruining any future opportunities to vent and share, because you have set this precedent that you are a chronic dumper. So now people are going to avoid you like the plague. They're not going to want to hear that. So please, if you are a chronic dumper, invest in a journal. Try that. And then come to somebody else to share. Journal all the frustration out first, get it all out your system, and then come and share. So I hope this video was very helpful. Definitely like, subscribe, share if you choose. Much appreciation. Peace, y'all.